St Leo's, home of the graduating year of 2015. A year that is peaceful. Intelligent. And has a certain charm. Over the years, St Leo's has given us good friendships, great experiences, and lasting memories.
Who threw that yogurt? Hey! One of the things I think is really special is most of the students have a good sense of humour and they support each other really, really well, and they've got very close friendships with each other and look out for each other. And it's been a real eye-opening experience and a learning experience for me to travel with one year group throughout their schooling life. Camps and retreats are a really important thing for me, and they really stand out as great memories with the year group because I've had such a fantastic time on all the camps we've been. Other things that have stood out is the swimming carnival this year. So at the end of last year, where students all dressed up, and it was awesome to see all year 12 getting involved and getting their house group involved in the athletics carnival again, all dressed up, all involved with that, and really encouraging all the other year groups to get involved. St Leo's Day at the end of last year was I think one of the most important times with year 12 as they bonded together as a year group. We had Mr Trot's running Fight Club with the swords down in Burke Hall. There was table tennis competitions going on. There was money up competition. I'm not sure how legal that was. And then I actually, at the end of the day, happened to go down. I was on the barbecue most of the day and pretty stressed. And I went down into the drama studio, and there's some noise coming on. And I heard this noise, and I went in and saw Casey's band for the first time perform, and that was like a really outstanding memory. What's been really rewarding is seeing people and following one year group from year 8 all the way to year 12. So for me, it's obviously the best year group I've ever had. Where shall I start? Telling year 12s to tuck their shirts in every day, probably about 12 times a day on a good day, sometimes more. Same students, you know who you are. Catching year 12s at Macca's or at Sultan's at lunchtime. Again, very regular occurrence. Whinging at the same people for being late to school every day. Chasing up permission notes for camps and excursions, which is probably one of the banes of my life when camp comes up.
So, Mr. Trainer, why do you whinge so much?
Because I'm a whinging pom.
We also wanted to interview Mrs. Sykes, but she wasn't in her office. So we got Mr. Dugan instead.
Hi Mr. Dugan, I've got one question for you. What's one tip that you could give the students for the HSC?
It's the old HSC, eh? Listen, I'll tell you what, looks like the best thing you can do is do a bit of work. And people often say, oh gee, good luck with your work. Funny thing about luck and work, the harder you work, the luckier you get. If you really want to skim a few marks off the top, you follow the exam technique that we've been working on. And that way, follow that, and do a bit of work, and you'll just about be lucky enough. Fair enough?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Our homeroom teachers spend a lot of time with us each day and probably know us the best out of all the teachers we have. So we talk to them about their favourite memories and things they'll miss.
Oh, favourite moments. I was lucky enough to go along to the retreat this year. The bit I really enjoyed was right at the end of the retreat when students were asked to write affirmations. for students as well as teachers.
So things I miss about the Year 12 tutor class is just spending time with them, having kind of, those types of conversations, a bit of banter.
One of the things that I'll miss most is seeing your lovely faces every day. When I started in Year 10, my tutor class gave me a very hard time. They were begging for Miss Wakeham to come back and when would I be leaving. And when I used to see them in the playground, they used to put their heads down and avoid eye contact with me. And now when I walk across the playground, everyone looks up and says, "Hi, Miss," and smiles, and I'll miss seeing you every day.
So, Mr. Gomez.
Call me Mr. G.
What are you looking at there?
Oh, well, I just happen to have my St. Leo's Year 12 annual from 1991, and I was actually just thinking that I've come a long way since Year 12. You might have a look at that picture there. I said I wanted to be an archaeologist, and that's something I've never actually quite ended up doing. Well, I first met some of the Year 12s down in Melbourne, actually, at the Australian Catholic Youth Festival. My first memory is actually in a mosh pit with Ollie and Andrew Placco and a few of the others kind of thing, and basically, I was just kind of getting to know some of the people down there. That was a really great introduction, and then coming back, I started teaching here when you guys were in Year 11. I think Year 12 is a wonderful year group. I think you've got so much to offer. You've got all these different people and different personalities, but there are so many different gifts and talents there which make you really special.
So what's the best thing that happened during your time at St. Leo's?
Oh, it would have to be when Peter Zeta got his teeth fixed.
The best moments when we had wet weather in Berg Hall and there was yogurt on the wall. Mr. Trainer came down and he called us all up and he was like, "Hey, there's yogurt on the wall. Hey, you're a bunch of thugs." Yeah.
My name is Tim.
Just ruined it for everyone. I'd say Mr. Trainer. Trainer's the best thing to happen.
Year 12, aren't we amazing? We are such incredible people. I mean, the talent that we have is incredible.
Oh yeah, my mixtape came out. You guys should buy it. Just in case I don't get into uni. 1 + 1 = 5. Yeah.
I think the best thing that happened to me was making all, the great, amazing friends that I've made over this time.
On Year 8 camp, when it was our last day and all of us were disgusting and dirty and gross, and we had Miss Overton as our teacher. She's about to go off to go get a shower. We're going to do our last activity, and she's backing up and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to have a hot shower and you punks are gonna miss out. You're all dirty and disgusting." And then she backs into a tree and hits her head.
Okay, my favourite moment, or just overall, is probably all the sport that we used to do with going ice skating, and when me and Annie just used to go and walk. Apparently that was a sport.
My favourite thing was probably 9U moments, which we were a very interesting class and did a lot of things that probably shouldn't have been done.
Simba, my friend, he has an accent, right? So he was like, "Miss, I need a sheet." But because of his accent, it sounded like something else. And so she became very enraged and she started to cry. It was that bad. She just started to cry.
Well, I believe that the best thing that's happened to me at St. Rose was the start of Year 11 to 12. Because I have to say is that, from Year 11 you start doing things that you are interested in, what interests you, and then you get to work with people that you never really met before.
Probably meeting all my friends and the great teachers at the school. It's really been a great experience.
I like doing all the out-of-school sport, in particular our journeys to and from water polo in that death trap of a minivan. There were not enough seats, so we were rolling on the floor. The fire extinguisher was no longer attached. The door was shut together with an umbrella.
My favourite part of school was using Mr. Kershaw as an excuse for not going to class. That was some good times.
St. Leo's has taught me how people of differing paradigms can extrapolate wisdom, knowledge and experiences from each other to become confident, competent Catholic young men and women of conscience.
Yeah, what he said.
Don't let your dank memes be dreams.
Dignity, Restepa, Justice, integrity, and what is that? What's that word say? Last one. Hopper. H-O-P-E. Yeah.
I've learnt it's hard being Spider-Man in juggling school, especially the HSC year. With great power comes great response to HSC.
I've learnt that the muffins at the canteen are the best you'll ever find.
I've learnt that you don't need a big group of people to have fun.
And I've learnt after 6 years, still no one can say my name.
I reckon in year 7 I thought I was a bit of a shy starter-outer, I was a bit lazy with my work, but over time I've grown to love my time at school and enjoy all the new friends that I'm making, because that was then, and this is now.
One more depending on a prep, and we all look away. People pretending everywhere. It's just another day. There's bullets flying through the air, and they still carry on. We watch it happen over there, and then just turn it off. We must stand together. There's no hand in hand forever. That's when we
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screens, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you? You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go.
When she was just a girl, she expected the world, but it flew away from her reach, so she ran away in her sleep.